Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. I'm your host, Spencer. I'm hoping this mic sounds okay. The headphones I have on are different than normal, and it doesn't sound great, but I'm hoping that maybe it's just the headphones. All right, I think I left off in the last episode with the word anecdote, and so this episode will start with anecdotic. It could also be anecdotical. This is an adjective from circa 1744. 1. We have the 1A definition of anecdotal. 2. Given to or skilled in telling anecdotes. Anecdotally is an adverb. Next we have anechoic. A-N-E-C-H-O-I-C. It looks like it's pronounced anechoic, but I don't think it is. This is an adjective from 1946, free from echoes and reverberations, as in an anechoic chamber. Next we have anelastic. It's the word an and then elastic, all one word. This is an adjective from 1947, relating to the property of a substance in which there is no definite relation between stress and strain. Anelasticity is a noun. Now we have a prefix, A-N-E-M or A-N-E-M-O. It just means wind, as in anemometer. This is from the Greek animos, and there's more at the word animate. So I'm curious, I'm curious what the Greek word means, animos, and how did animate get into this? Is it related to wind in any way? Not sure, probably not. Next, we have anemia. This is a noun from 1800. 1a, a condition in which the blood is deficient in red blood cells, in hemoglobin, or in total volume. 1b, we have the synonym ischemia. 2, lack of vitality. This is from the Greek anemia, which means bloodlessness. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Next, we have anemic. This is an adjective from 1826. 1. Relating to or affected with anemia. 2a. Lacking force, vitality, or spirit, as in an anemic rendition of the song. Also, as in anemic efforts at enforcement. 2b. Lacking interest or savor. Insipid is a synonym, as in anemic wines. That would be the wine that you drink, not when you are whining about something. 2c, lacking in substance or quantity, as in anemic returns on an investment, or also as in anemic attendance. Anemically is an adverb. Now we have anemograph. This is a noun from 1855, a recording anemometer. And if we look back, anemometer is, I think it's something that records or reads the wind, and so an anemograph would be one that records the wind and its data, I'm guessing. Now we have the actual word anemometer. This is a noun from 1749, an instrument for measuring and indicating the force or speed and sometimes direction of the wind. Next is anemometry. This is a noun from 1831, the process of ascertaining the force, speed, and direction of wind or an airflow. So for some reason I'm blanking on the word, but there are those things that have directions, and they often have like a chicken or a rooster on top, and it spins based on the direction that the wind is going. I know it's a very basic word, and my brain is farting right now, so I can't think of it, but I wonder if you could call those an anemometer. It measures the direction of the wind, so those are probably a very basic form of an anemometer. And I'm sure in like 10 minutes when I'm off onto the next episode, I'll remember what that word is. Next, we have anemone, sometimes kind of a hard word to say. This is a noun from 1548. 1. Any of a large genus of perennial herbs of the buttercup family, having lobed or divided leaves and showy flowers without petals, but with conspicuous sepals or sepals, S-E-P-A-L-S. It's called also wind flower. 2, we just have the synonym sea anemone. Anemone? Did I say it right that time? Next, we have anemophilus, Anemophilous. This is an adjective from circa 1872, pollinated by wind. Next, we have anencephaly, Anencephaly. This is a noun from 1831, congenital absence of all or a major part of the brain. You don't want that. Anencephalic is an adjective. I said adjective weird. Adjective. There we go. Next we have anent. Anent. This is a preposition from the 13th century. We just have the synonyms about and concerning. This seems like a pretty old word that doesn't really get used anymore, I'm guessing. The etymology says this is from the Middle English onavent or anent, which is from the Old English on effen, which means alongside, and that is from combining on plus effen, which means even. And it's spelled E-F-E-N, effen, but maybe they pronounce it a little bit differently. Next we have anergy. It's similar to the word energy, but it starts with an A, so it's anergy. This is a noun from 1890, a condition in which the body fails to react to an antigen. Next we have aneroid, Aneroid. This is an adjective from circa 1842, using no liquid, specifically operating by the effect of outside air pressure on a diaphragm forming one wall of an evacuated container, as in aneroid barometer. This is from like a Latin Greek word neuron, which means water, and that is the Greek neutral of neros, which means fresh. It's akin to the Greek neos, which means new, and there's more at the word new. Next we have anesthesia. This is a noun from circa 1721, loss of sensation with or without loss of consciousness. This is from the Greek anesthesia, something like that, which means insensibility, and that is from aesthesis, which means perception, from aisthanesthai, which means to perceive, and there's more at the word audible. No, this is not brought to you by audible.com, but if they wanted to sponsor me, I would be okay with that. Next, we have anesthesiologist. This is a noun from 1922. We have the synonym anesthetist, specifically a physician specializing in anesthesiology. Which is our next word, anesthesiology, Anesthethiology. It's a noun from 1911, and I'm going to stop doing this thing. A branch of medical science dealing with anesthesia. Now I don't know how to say that word anymore. Anesthesia and anesthetics. Now we have anesthetic, the first form. This is an adjective from 1823. 1. Of, relating to, or capable of producing anesthesia. 2. Lacking awareness or sensitivity, as in, was anesthetic to their feelings. Anesthetically is an adverb. Now we have the second form of anesthetic. This is a noun from 1845. 1. A substance that produces anesthesia. 2. Something that brings relief. Synonym is palliative. Palliative. I think I'm pronouncing that word correctly. Next, we have anesthetist. Anesthetist. This is a noun from 1860, one who administers anesthetics. Next is anesthetize. It's a transitive verb from 1848, to subject to anesthesia. All right, I think we are out of the anesthesia words. That was quite a run there. Next, we have anestrus. Anestrous. This is an adjective from 1902. 1. Not exhibiting estrus. And estrus is spelled E-S-T-R-U-S. 2. of or relating to anestrus. In this case, anestrus is spelled Anestrus, and the word we're defining is trous. But anestrus, with just the U, is our next word. It's a noun from 1923, the period of sexual quiescence between two periods of sexual activity in cyclically breeding mammals. So, every animal goes through a period probably at least once a year, if not more, probably depending on the animal, the creature, whatever it is. They go through a period where they want to mate to create more of their kind of animal. So the time when they are not in sexual activity would be called anestrus. I didn't know that, and now I do, but I will probably forget it later because I'm learning a lot of words and it's just too much for my brain to soak in. All right, next and last word for this episode is aneuploid. Aneuploid. This is an adjective from 1926, having or being a chromosome number that is not an exact multiple of the usually haploid number. Compare to the word euploid, Euploid. Aneuploid is also a noun, and aneuploidy is a noun and a fun word to say. And what, oh what, shall I pick for the word of the episode? Well, maybe a third or a half of these words were related to anesthesia, but I'm going to pick the most fun word of them to say, which is anesthesiology. That will end this episode. Thank you very much for listening. We are halfway through page 47. And until next time, this is Spencer, still reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Let's get to the words. First is aneurysm, spelled two different ways, Aneurysm or RISM. This is a noun from the 15th century, an abnormal blood-filled bulge of a blood vessel, and especially an artery resulting from weakening as from disease of the vessel wall. Aneurysmal is an adjective. That's not a cool thing to have happen to you. I hope that never happens to any of you. The first part of the definition is kind of a tongue twister. An abnormal blood-filled bulge of a blood vessel. Lots of buh sounds. Next we have anew, A-N-E-W. This is an adverb from before the 12th century. 1. For an additional time. Synonym is again, as in begin anew. 2. In a new or different form, as in a story told anew on film. Next we have anpho, all caps A-N-F-O. This is a noun from 1965, a compound made from ammonium nitrate and fuel oil that is used both as a commercial explosive and in the manufacture of improvised bombs. The etymology says this is taking the A from ammonium, the N from nitrate, the F from fuel, and the O from oil. Anpho. And now that I think about it, I feel like maybe I've heard this word or a very similar word used in shows like Mythbusters. They are known for blowing things up. So I don't think I ever really understood what the word was, but now that I see this word all written out with the definition and everything, I think that might be what it is. Next, we have a funky word, to me at least, anfractuosity. Yeah, A-N-F-R-A-C-T-U-O-S-I-T-Y. This is a noun from 1596. 1. The quality or state of being anfractuous. 2. A winding channel or course, especially an intricate path or process, as of the mind. Ooh, this is very fascinating to me. I might need to look into this word a little bit more. But we do have the word anfractuous next, so maybe that'll give me a little bit more information. This is an adjective from 1619. Full of windings and intricate turnings. Synonym is torturous. This word is becoming more and more interesting to me. The etymology says this is from the French anfractueux. How do you say this word? anfractueux. Anfractueux? I don't know. Any of you French speakers, help me out. That is from the Latin anfractuosus, which is from the Latin anfractus, which means coil or bend. And that is made combining an or ambi, which means around, plus fractus, which is from the verb frangere, which means to break. And there's more at the prefix ambi and the word break. Next we have angel, angel. This is a noun from before the 12th century. 1a, a spiritual being superior to humans in power and intelligence, especially one in the lowest rank in the celestial hierarchy. 1b says it's plural, in order of angels. And then it says, see celestial hierarchy. So I guess celestial hierarchy is its own separate entry in the dictionary, so we'll get there in the C's. What is the celestial hierarchy? I'm not sure. I know of angels, and I don't know, maybe they talk about demons and gods and saints, and I don't know, that's about all I can think of because I don't know that stuff. 2, an attendant spirit or guardian. 3, a usually white-robed, winged figure of human form in fine art. And winged, in this situation, could possibly also be pronounced winged. I emphasize the G too much. Winged. Something like that. 4, we have the synonyms messenger and harbinger, as in angel of death. 5, a person like an angel, as in looks or behavior. 6, this says it's a Christian science. It's inspiration from God. 7, one, as a backer of the theatrical venture who aids or supports with money or influence. 8, we have the synonym angelfish. Angelic or angelical are adjectives, and angelically is an adverb. The etymology says this is from, what's the most important part here? Looks like it's from the Greek angelos or angelos, which literally means messenger. Next we have angel dust. This is a noun from 1969, and we just have the synonym phencyclidine. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but it is spelled phencyclidine. I think that is some sort of drug. I probably should know, but I really don't. Next we have Angelino. This is a noun from 1885, a native or resident of Los Angeles, California. Next we have angelfish, all one word. This is a noun from 1668. 1, any of several laterally compressed, brightly colored bony fishes of warm seas. And there is a family name, Pomacanthidae. 2, a black and silver, laterally compressed South American cichlid fish, popular in aquariums, called also scalare or scalare, probably scalare, I'm not sure. And the scientific name is Pterophyllum scalare. Next we have angel food cake, 3 separate words. This is a noun from 1908. A usually white sponge cake made of flour, sugar, and whites of eggs. And next and last word for this episode is angel hair pasta. Angel hair has a hyphen. Pasta is its own word. This is a noun from 1975. Pasta made in long, thin strings, smaller in diameter than vermicelli. That's going to end this episode is done. What is my word? My word is, I'm just going to pick 2 because they're very related. They are anfractuous and anfractuosity. Did I say that right? Anfractuosity, yeah. Those are my words. I'm super curious to more what they mean, what sort of situations are they used in. Yeah, interesting to me. I'm going to go look that up, but not until I record this next episode. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to this brand new episode of the dictionary. I think today is August 10th. I got nothing to say about August 10th. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Good for you. Yeah, that's it. Let's get to the words. First is Angelica. Angelica. This is a noun from 1527. 1a. Any of a genus of herbs in the carrot family, especially a Eurasian biennial or perennial whose roots and seeds yield a flavoring oil and whose young stems are often candied. In my conscious brain, the only time I've heard the word Angelica is somebody's name. That's not what this is. It's not capitalized. Hearing these definitions, I mean, I've just read the one so far, but I had no idea that this was a food, a plant, or whatever. So yeah, you learn something new every day. I'm sure a lot of you already knew that, but I didn't. 1b, a confection prepared from Angelica. 2, and this one is capitalized, a sweet fortified wine. And as I've mentioned, I like sweet things, especially when it comes to wine. So if I ever come across some Angelica wine, I might need to try that. See what it's like. Next we have Angelica tree. This is a noun from 1785, and it just has the number 1 definition for the word or words Hercules Club. I have no idea what that is, and I don't feel like flipping through hundreds of pages to find it. So if you're curious and you don't want to wait a number of years until you hear me say it, go look it up for yourself. Hercules-Club. And it also looks like there is an apostrophe after the S in Hercules. All right, moving on. I think this is pronounced angelology. Angelology. It's a noun and it's often capitalized from circa 1805. The theological doctrine of angels or its studies. Angelologist is a noun. Boy, wouldn't that be funny? I mean, no, not really. But to me, because it's a funny word, I would love to hear somebody say, I'm an angelologist. Just sounds like a made-up word is all, with all the L's and the O's. But it's probably a pretty interesting thing to study, too. Not sure how you study it. Are you just do you just become an expert on all the old angels that are talked about? Are there new things to study? Do you also study sort of spiritual angels and guides, or do you study the angels? Are they in the Bible? I don't know. I'm just questioning. I'm just asking questions. Next we have Angelus, capital Angelus. This is a noun from 1658. 1. A devotion of the Western Church that commemorates the Incarnation and is said in the morning, at noon, and in the evening. 2. A bell announcing the time for the Angelus. The etymology, I think, is saying this is from the Latin word for angel. It's from the first word of the opening versicle, whatever that is. Now we have the word anger, a word I am familiar with. There are 2 forms. Here's the first form. It's a verb from the 13th century. Transitive definition is to make angry, as in, he was angered by the decision. The intransitive definition is to become angry. So in one case, you are making somebody angry, or something is making somebody angry, and in the other case, you are the one who is becoming angry. So hopefully that's a good way to sort of remember what's the difference between transitive verbs and intransitive verbs, and I will probably forget. Next, we have the second form of anger. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. A strong feeling or displeasure, and usually of antagonism. 2. We have the number 2 definition of the word rage. Angerless is an adjective. The etymology says this is from Middle English, affliction or anger, and that is from, what is that? Old something, anger, A-N-G-R, which means grief. This is akin to the Old English engi, E-N-G-E, which means narrow. It's from the Latin verb angere, which means to strangle, and the Greek word anchein, A-N-C-H-E-I-N. Not sure how to pronounce that. And it doesn't say what that word means. But we have some synonym information for the word anger. Here we go. Anger, ire, rage, fury, indignation, and wrath mean an intense emotional state induced by displeasure. Anger, the most general term, names the reaction, but by itself does not convey cause or intensity, as in, tried to hide his anger. Ire, spelled I-R-E, more frequent in literary contexts, suggests an intense anger, often with an evident display of feeling, as in cheeks flushed with ire. Rage and fury suggest loss of self-control from violence of emotion, as in shook with rage, or also as in could not contain his fury. Indignation stresses righteous anger at what one considers unfair, mean, or shameful, as in a comment that caused general indignation. Wrath, spelled W-R-A-T-H, is likely to suggest a desire or intent to punish or get revenge, as in, I feared her wrath if I was discovered. What did you do? Why would she have wrath against you? Anyway, that's it for the word anger. Let's move on to angevin. Capital A-N-G-E-V-I-N. This is an adjective from 1702 of, relating to, or characteristic of Anjou, A-N-J-O-U, or the Plantagenets. And I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. It is P-L-A-N-T-A-G-E-N-E-T-S. Is it Plantagenets? It's probably Plantagenets. Angevin is also a noun. Next, we have a prefix, A-N-G-I or A-N-G-I-O. Angi or angio. 1. Blood or lymph vessel, blood vessels and, as in angiocardiography. 2. Pericarp, as in angiosperm. Not sure what pericarp is, so that doesn't help me. But maybe it helps you. Looks like this is from the Greek angion, which means vessel or blood vessel. That's diminutive of angos, which means vessel. Next we have angina, A-N-G-I-N-A. This is a noun from 1578, a disease marked by spasmodic attacks of intense suffocative pain as A severe inflammatory or ulcerated condition of the mouth or throat, and B, we have the synonym angina pectoris. Anginal is an adjective. This is from Latin, means throat inflammation. It's from the Greek anchoni. Oh, that's bringing back terrible memories of me trying to say the word anchovy. That means strangling, and that is from anchein, which means to strangle. Next we have angina pectoris. This is a noun from 1768, a disease marked by brief paroxysmal attacks of chest pain precipitated by deficient oxygenation of the heart muscles. This is New Latin. It literally means angina of the chest. Pectoris means of the chest. Your chest muscles are your pecs. Well, that's the short word for them. What's the long? Pectorals. I think that's what it is. Pectoral muscles. So that's, I'm sure there's some old Latin word that starts with PEC that means chest. Next we have angiocardiography, all one word. ANGIOCARDIOGRAPHY. This is a noun from 1938. The radiographic visualization of the heart and its blood vessels after injection of a radiopaque substance. Radiopaque is a very weird word. I've seen opaque, O-P-A-Q-U-E, but they've added R-A-D-I to the beginning. So I've never seen that. It's a little bit weird to say, but I think I said it right. Radiopaque, or could it be who knows? Angiocardiographic is an adjective. Next we have angiogenesis, all one word. This is a noun from circa 1895, the formation and differentiation of blood vessels. Angiogenic is an adjective. Next is angiogram. It's a noun from 1933. 1. A radiograph made by an angiography. And 2, we have the synonym angiography, which is our next and last word for this episode, angiography. It's a noun from 1933, the radiographic visualization of the blood vessels after injection of a radiopaque substance. And it looks like that was identical or almost identical to angiocardiography. Angiographic is an adjective, and angiographically is an adverb. And what shall I pick for the word of the episode? I actually do really think about this. I'm taking some time to look through the words to see if something jumps out at me in terms of the word itself or the definition. So, yes, I do put some thought into this. I don't just pick a random word. I'm just going to go ahead and pick angelica tree because the definition was just the number one definition of Hercules Club or Hercules' Club. Is it actually Hercules' club and they called it an angelica tree? Is he so strong that he picked up an angelica tree and used it as a club? That's entirely possible. Hercules was a super strong dude, and but I'm sure if that were the case, angelica tree was a thing that existed, and so why isn't there a more specific definition of what it is? Maybe we'll get that when we get to Hercules Club, but why isn't it here? Sorry, I'm just asking a lot of questions that are coming up into my brain. But that one was kind of interesting to me. It sort of threw me off. I didn't expect to see a definition that said Hercules' Club when I saw a word that has to do with a tree. Anyway, I'm going to end this episode. Thank you very much for listening. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. I am your host, Spencer. Enough of that, let's get to the words. First is angioma, A-N-G-I-O-M-A. This is a noun from 1871, a tumor composed chiefly of blood vessels or lymph vessels. Lymph is L-Y-M-P-H. Angiomatus is an adjective. Next we have angioplasty. This is a noun from circa 1919, surgical repair or recanalization of a blood vessel. Especially, we have the synonym balloon angioplasty. Next we have angiosperm, all one word. This is a noun from circa 1828. Any of a class or division of vascular plants, as magnolias, grasses, oaks, roses, and daisies, that have the ovules and seeds enclosed in an ovary, form the embryo and endosperm by double fertilization, and typically have each flower surrounded by a perianth composed of two sets of floral envelopes comprising the calyx and corolla, called also flowering plant. That was a lot of information. Hope I said it all correctly. Let's see. We have the class at the beginning is Angiospermae. The division is Magnolia phyta. And I think that was it for the scientific names. Angiospermous is an adjective. Next we have angiotensin. Angiotensin. This is a noun from 1958. Either of two forms of a kinin or kinin, of which one has marked vasoconstrictive action, also a synthetic amide derivative of the physiologically active form used to treat some form of hypotension. That word I had trouble with is kinin, kinin or kinin, I don't know. Next we have angiotensin converting enzyme, three separate words. This is a noun from 1960, a proteolytic enzyme that converts the physiologically inactive form of angiotensin to the active vasoconstrictive form. I didn't even need to read that. I could have told you that off the top of my head. Yeah, right. Next, we have ANGL. It has a capital A. This is an abbreviation for the word Anglican. Next, we have angle, ANGLE. I spell that because it sometimes gets misspelled, and then you get the word angel, or vice versa. And so a couple of episodes ago, we had the word angel, and I spelled it because the same reason. So we have 3 forms of angle. This is the first form. It's a noun from the 14th century. 1. A corner, whether constituting a projecting part or a partially enclosed space, as in, they sheltered in an angle of the building. 2a. The figure formed by 2 lines extending from the same point. Also, the synonym dihedral angle. Dihedral is spelled D-I-H-E-D-R-A-L. 2b. A measure of an angle or of the amount of turning necessary to bring one line or plane into coincidence with or parallel to another. 3a. The precise viewpoint from which something is observed or considered, as in a camera angle, or consider the question from all angles. Also, the aspect seen from such an angle, as in discuss all angles of the question. 3b1. A special approach, point of attack, or technique for accomplishing an objective, as in try a new angle. 3b2. An often improper or illicit method of obtaining advantage, as in a salesman always looking for an angle. 4. A sharply divergent course, as in the road went off at an angle. 5. A position to the side of an opponent in football from which a player may block his opponent more effectively or without penalty, usually used in the phrases get an angle or have an angle. They mentioned football. I don't know if they mean American football or football as in American soccer. Not sure, they don't really specify. But I can also tell you that angled is an adjective. Now we have the second form of angle. This is a verb from 1621. Intransitive definition is to turn or proceed at an angle. Transitive definitions. 1. To turn, move, or direct at an angle. 2. To present as a news story from a particular or prejudiced point of view. Synonym is slant. And now we have the third form of angle. It is also a verb. Looks like it's only an intransitive verb. It is from the 15th century. 1. To fish with a hook. 2. To use artful means to attain an objective, as in angled for an invitation. Next and last for this episode is angle again, but it has a capital A. This is a noun from before the 12th century, a member of a Germanic people that invaded England along with the Saxons and Jutes, J-U-T-E-S, in the 5th century A.D. and merged with them to form the Anglo-Saxon peoples. Now I have to pick a word, and I'll just go ahead and pick angle because it was talked about a lot in this episode. Yeah, not too interesting, but sometimes that happens. All right, that's the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. Rate and review, of course, 5 stars only, please. Write a review. It actually does help get me more exposure. And of course, we want the words in the American English language to get more exposure. Share, subscribe, etc. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. I don't think there's too much interesting to say, so let's get to the words. First, we have angle bracket. 2 separate words, A-N-G-L-E. Next word, bracket. This is a noun from circa 1956, and we have the 3B definition for the word bracket. So you're not going to get that now, you're going to get that later. Next we have angle iron. That's the IRON word. This is a noun from circa 1846. 1. An iron cleat for joining parts of a structure at an angle. 2. A piece of structural steel rolled with an L-shaped section. Next we have angle of attack from 1908. The acute angle between the direction of the relative wind and the chord of an airfoil. Chord is spelled C-H-O-R-D. I have no idea what any of that means. Now we have angle of depression from 1773. The angle formed by the line of sight and the horizontal plane for an object below the horizontal. I think these are all related to flying in an airplane. No, 1773, that's before an airplane was invented. Who knows? Next we have angle of elevation from circa 1737. The angle formed by the line of sight and the horizontal plane for an object above the horizontal. These could also just be related to shooting a gun and war. I'm basing that off of angle of attack. So maybe when they're looking down the sight of a gun of some kind, they're looking, up and down the horizontal plane, something like that. Next, we have angle of incidence. Incidence is spelled INCIDENCE. This is from 1626. The angle that a line, as a ray of light, falling on a surface or interface, makes with the normal drawn at the point of incidence. Now we have angle of reflection from 1638. The angle between a reflected ray and the normal drawn at the point of incidence to a reflecting surface. Now we have the last of these angle phrases. It is angle of refraction from 1636. The angle between a refracted ray and the normal drawn at the point of incidence to the interface at which refraction occurs. So yeah, I'm still a little confused on what these all mean. I may have to look up what these are all in relation to, because it didn't really say. All right, moving on. We have the word angler, A-N-G-L-E-R. This is a noun from the 15th century. 1. One that angles. 2. The synonym anglerfish. Which is our next word? It's a noun from circa 1889. Any of several pediculate fishes, as the goosefishes, especially the synonym monkfish. Now we have angle shot, 2 separate words. This is a noun from circa 1922, a picture taken with the camera pointed at an angle from the horizontal. Now we have angle sight, all one word. This is a noun from circa 1841, a mineral consisting of lead sulfate formed by the oxidation of galena. I don't know what galena is. I know that there's a Galena, Illinois. There could be other towns in America that are named Galena, but I don't know what it is in this context. Next we have angle worm, all one word. This is a noun from 1653. We have the synonym earthworm. I wonder why angleworm is another word for it. Does it only squiggle around at an angle? 90-degree angles and 30-degree angles? Probably not, but I might have to look up the etymology of that. All right, next we have Anglian, capital A-N-G-L-I-A-N. This is a noun from circa 1711. 1. A member of the Angles. And I think that relates back to our previous episode. The Angles were a Germanic people. 2. The Old English dialects of Mercia and Northumbria. Could be Mercia, not sure. An Anglian is an adjective. Next we have Anglican. This is an adjective from 1635. 1. Of or relating to the established Episcopal Church of England and churches of similar faith and order in communion with it. 2. of or relating to England or the English nation. Anglican is a noun, and Anglicanism is also a noun. Next, we have the word Anglice, Anglice. This is an adverb, and it is often capitalized from 1602. In English, especially in readily understood English, as in the city of Napoli, Anglice, Naples. So the city name Naples is how we say in English the city name Napoli. So Anglice just means in English. Next we have Anglicize, Anglicize, and it is a variation, the British variation of Anglicize with a Z instead of an S. Next we have Anglicism. The last four letters are CISM. This is a noun, often capitalized, from 1642. 1. A characteristic feature of English occurring in another language. 2. Adherence or attachment to English customs or ideas. Next we have Anglicist, with a capital A. This is a noun from 1801, a specialist in English linguistics. I am not that. Now we have that American English word anglicize with a Z. This is a verb often capitalized from 1710. Looks to be transitive, actually. 1. To make English in quality or characteristics. 2. To adapt a foreign word, name, or phrase to English usage, as 2a, to alter to a characteristic English form, sound, or spelling. 2b, to convert a name to its English equivalent, as in anglicize Juan as John. Anglicization is a noun, and it is also often capitalized. Next we have angling, Angling. This is a noun from the 15th century, the action of one who angles, especially the action or sport of fishing with hook and line. Next is anglist, with a capital A. This is a noun from 1888, and we just have the synonym anglicist, which we read a few words ago. Next we have Anglo, capital ANGLO. This is a noun from 1800. 1. We just have the synonym Anglo-American. 2. A white inhabitant of the U.S. of non-Hispanic descent. Anglo is also an adjective. I think you would call me an Anglo-American. I am white, Caucasian, whatever word you want to use. I am not Hispanic. I live in the U.S. I've been living in the U.S. I was born in the U.S. My family has been in the U.S. So yeah, I guess I'm an Anglo. Next and last for this episode is the prefix Anglo. 1. It just means English, as in Anglo-Norman. 2. English and, as in Anglo-Japanese. And now I need to pick a word of the episode, and I think I'm going to go with angleworm because I don't understand how it got its name. Why is it called an angleworm? That's all. Just curious. Thank you for listening. Contact me. Send me an email. Become a Patreon on my Patreon. There's links and everything. And until next time, this is Spencer still reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds! I am so excited to bring you this brand new episode of the dictionary. Is it any different from the one yesterday or the one tomorrow? I don't think so. Let's get to the words. First is Anglo-American. There is a hyphen. Both A's are capitalized, so we have ANGLO hyphen AMERICAN. This is a noun from circa 1782. 1. An inhabitant of the U.S. of English origin or descent. 2. A North American whose native language is English and especially whose culture or ethnic background is of European origin. Anglo-American is an adjective. Next we have Anglo-Catholic. There is a hyphen in between the two words. This is an adjective from 1838, of or relating to a high church movement in Anglicanism, emphasizing its continuity with historic Catholicism and fostering Catholic dogmatic and liturgical traditions. Anglo-Catholic is a noun, and Anglo-Catholicism is also a noun. Next, we have Anglo-centric, all one word with a capital A. This is an adjective from 1886, centered on or giving priority to England or things English, as in an Anglo-centric view of history. Now we have Anglo-French. There is a hyphen, and the A and the F are capitalized. This is a noun from 1876, the French language used in medieval England. Next, we have Anglomania, with a capital A, all one word. This is a noun from 1787, an absorbing or pervasive interest in England or things English. I think you could say Beatlemania was a form of Anglomania. Next, we have Anglo-Norman. There is a hyphen, the A and the N are capitalized. This is a noun from 1735. 1. Any of the Normans living in England after the Norman conquest of 1066. 2. The form of Anglo-French used by Anglo-Normans. Anglo-Norman is also an adjective. Next we have Anglophile, Anglophile, with a capital A. I'm going to guess that somebody who is an Anglophile would be part of Anglomania. This is a noun from 1883, a person who greatly admires or favors England and things English. Anglophile or Anglophilic are adjectives. Next is Anglophilia. This is a noun from 1896, unusual admiration or partiality for England, English ways, or things English. Anglophiliac is an adjective. Now we have the opposite, Anglophobe, Phobe. This is a noun from 1866, a person who is averse to or dislikes England and things English. Anglophobia is a noun and Anglophobic is an adjective. Wouldn't you love to see an Anglophile and an Anglophobe get in a room and fight it out and have a debate over, is England great? Is England terrible? Blah, 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 blah. That would be fun. Let's see if we can make that happen. Next, we have Anglophone, all one word. The A is not capitalized. This is an adjective, but it is often capitalized. It is from 1900, consisting of or belonging to an English-speaking population, especially in a country where 2 or more languages are spoken. Anglophone with a capital A is also a noun. Next, we have Anglo-Saxon. There is a hyphen, the A and the S are capitalized. This is a noun from before the 12th century. 1. A member of the Germanic peoples conquering England in the 5th century AD and forming the ruling class until the Norman conquest. Compare to the synonyms Angle, Jute, Jute, and Saxon. 2a, we have the synonym Englishman, specifically, a person descended from the Anglo-Saxons. 2b, a white Gentile of an English-speaking nation. 3, we have the first definition of Old English. 4, direct plain English, especially English using words considered crude or vulgar. Anglo-Saxon is also an adjective. And I think we will do one more for this episode. It is Anglosphere, and it looks like it's the last of the Anglo words. It's one word with a capital A. This is a noun from 1995. The countries of the world in which the English language and cultural values predominate. That's going to be the end of the episode, and now I have to pick a word for the episode. I think I'm going to pick two, Anglophile and Anglophobe, because, of course, I just want to see them debate it out, possibly fight, but I'd rather just have them fight with words. That's the end. Thank you for listening. Until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to this thing that we are calling a podcast called The Dictionary. I am called Spencer. Hello, good to meet you. Thank you for joining me. Please bring your friends. They're missing out on something spectacular. First word for this episode is Angora. Angora. This is a noun from 1812. 1. The hair of the Angora rabbit or Angora goat, called also Angora wool. 2. A yarn of Angora rabbit hair used especially for knitting. 3 is capitalized. 3a, Angora cat, that's the synonym. 3b, synonym is Angora goat. And 3c, Angora rabbit. Next we have Angora cat. It's a noun from 1819. Any of a breed of cats having a long, graceful body and silky, medium-length hair with no undercoat. Broadly, a long-haired domestic cat. And it is from Angora, Turkey. And there's another name for Angora, which is called Ankara, Ankara. And if I were to use a previous word that I used, let's see if I can find it. Was it anglicized? No, it was Anglicy. So Angora is the Anglicy of Ankara, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'm usually wrong. Next, we have Angora goat. This is a noun from 1833. Any of a breed of domestic goats raised for their long, silky hair, which is the true mohair. I don't know what the true mohair is, but it's on an Angora goat. And there is a black and white picture of an Angora goat. It has very long, twisty horns that kind of go straight out of its head, and it has a lot of hair, as you would expect. Next, we have Angora rabbit. It's a noun from 1849. Any of several breeds of long-haired rabbits raised for their abundant fine wool, especially any of a breed having usually white wool and red eyes. I wonder if the rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail was an Angora rabbit. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch that movie. Next, we have the word angry. It's an adjective from the 14th century. 1. Feeling or showing anger. 2a, indicative of or proceeding from anger, as in angry words. 2b, seeming to show anger or to threaten in an angry manner, as in an angry sky. 3, painfully inflamed, as in an angry rash. Angrily is an adverb, and angriness is a noun. Next, we have angry young man. 3 separate words. This is a noun from 1941. 1. An angry, outspoken critic of or protester against an economic condition or social injustice. 2. One of a group of mid-20th century British authors whose works express the bitterness of the lower classes toward the established socio-political system and toward the mediocrity and hypocrisy of the middle and upper classes. I kind of like what they have to say based on these definitions. Next, we have angst, A-N-G-S-T. This is a noun from circa 1942, a feeling of anxiety, apprehension, or insecurity, as in teenage angst. I think a lot of teenagers especially, a lot of people go through some level of angst. It's just a normal part of growing up, I think. Next, we have angstrom, A-N-G-S-T-R-O-M. This is a noun from 1892, a unit of length equal to 1/10,000,000,000th of a meter. If you don't know what that means it is very, very, very tiny. If I'm remembering correctly in my math days, 1,000th of a meter is a millimeter. And so this is 1/10,000,000,000th of a meter. And I don't even know what fraction of a millimeter that would be. I could probably figure it out real quick. Let's see. Well, equal to 1/10,000,000,000th, take out the 3. I think that would just be 1/10,000,000th of a millimeter. So if you know how big a millimeter is, divide it by 10 million. Yeah, do that. Then you get an angstrom. Next we have anguish. This is the first of two forms. It's a noun from the 13th century. Extreme pain, distress, or anxiety. Synonym is the word sorrow. The etymology says this is from the Latin angustiae, which is plural for the word straits, distress, and that is from angustus, which means narrow. It's akin to the Old English engi, E-N-G-E, which means narrow, and there's more at the word anger. Now we have the second form of anguish. It's a verb from the 14th century. The intransitive definition is to suffer anguish, and the transitive definition is to cause to suffer anguish. Next we have anguished with an ed at the end. This is an adjective from the 14th century. 1. Suffering anguish. Synonym is tormented, as in the anguished martyrs. 2. Expressing anguish. Synonym is agonized, as in anguished cries. Next we have angular, A-N-G-U-L-A-R. This is an adjective from the 15th century. 1a, forming an angle, sharp-cornered. 1b, having one or more angles. 2, measured by an angle, as in angular distance. 3a, stiff in character or manner, lacking smoothness or grace. That is a really good way, actually, to describe the way John Flansburgh and John Linnell of They Might Be Giants dance in their music videos. I was having a conversation about that with some people on a different podcast. This might be a podcast, and we were talking about their weird dancing, and angular is actually a really, really good way to describe that. So if you're curious, go look at some of their music videos, like Birdhouse in Your Soul, and Don't Let's Start, and possibly Anna Ang as well. I know I bring up They Might Be Giants a lot, but they're one of my favorite bands, probably my favorite band. And I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about them as well. All right, back to the definitions for angular. 3b, lean and having prominent bone structure. Angularly is an adjective. Next we have angular acceleration. Two separate words. This is a noun from 1883. The rate of change per unit time of an angular velocity. Next is angularity. This is a noun from 1642. 1. The quality of being angular. 2. Is plural, angular outlines or characteristics. Now we have angular momentum, two separate words. This is a noun from 1870. A vector quantity that is a measure of the rotational momentum of a rotating body or system that is equal in classical physics to the product of the angular velocity of the body or system and its movement of inertia with respect to the rotation axis, and that is directed along the rotation axis. I'm guessing that most of you are as confused as I am. Next we have angular velocity. Two words. This is a noun from 1672. The rate of rotation around an axis, usually expressed in radians or revolutions per second or per minute. Next is angulation. This is a noun from 1869. 1. The action of making angular. 2. An angular position, formation, or shape. Next we have Angus, capital A-N-G-U-S. This is a noun from 1842. Any of a breed of usually black, hornless beef cattle originating in Scotland. Next and last word for this episode is anhedonia. A-N-H-E-D-O-N-I-A. This is a noun from 1897. A psychological condition characterized by inability to experience pleasure in normally pleasurable acts. Adhedonic is an adjective. The etymology says this is from the Greek hedone, H-E-D-O-N-E, which means pleasure, and there's more at the word hedonism. And now I have to pick a word for the episode, and that is going to be the word angstrom. It's the 1/10 billionth of a meter. I'm just really interested in the cosmos, which could be the very large or the very small, the universe or the quantum realm. I think it's super fascinating because there's so much that we don't know about the very large and the very small. And angstrom just fits perfectly in there. I don't really know how it fits in the quantum realm. Is it part of the quantum realm? Is it much larger than the quantum realm? I may have to look that up. But angstrom is just an interesting word, and it's very, very tiny. So yeah, that's my reasoning. Thank you very much for listening. We have finished page 48. We've got a ways to go. Thank you for going on this journey with me, and make sure you tell everybody about it because it's the best podcast in the world. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Yeah, let's do this. Let's get to the words. We are at the top of page 49. First is anhinga, anhinga. This is a noun from 1769. Any of a genus of fish-eating birds related to the cormorants, but distinguished by a longer neck and sharply pointed rather than hooked bill, especially one occurring from the southern U.S. to Argentina. Next is anhyd. It is an abbreviation spelled A-N-H-Y-D, and it's an abbreviation for anhydrous. So maybe you'd say anhyd? I don't know. But the next word is anhydride. This is a noun from 1863. A compound derived from another, as an acid, by removal of the elements of water. Next we have anhydrite. This is a noun from circa 1823, a mineral consisting of an anhydrous calcium sulfate that is usually massive and white or slightly colored. Next is anhydrous. This is an adjective from 1819, free from water and especially water of crystallization. This is from the Greek anhydros, which is from a plus hydor, H-Y-D-O-R, which means water, and there's more at the word water. Next we have ani. I think it can also be pronounced ani, A-N-I. This is a noun from circa 1823. Any of a genus of black cuckoos, Yep, cuckoos, of the warmer parts of America. I'm assuming that's a kind of bird. The genus is Crotophaga, and the etymology says this is New Latin, probably modified of the, I think, Portuguese anui, A-N-U-I, from the Tupi, anui, do not know how to pronounce that, and there's a question mark in the middle of it. That is interesting. Is it a question mark? I don't think there's a dot at the bottom, so maybe it's not. That is from anu, which is ani plus the weird thing that sort of looks like a question mark plus the I, which means small. Next we have anile, A-N-I-L-E. This is an adjective from 1652, of or resembling a doddering old woman, especially the synonym senile. Anility is a noun, and this is from the Latin anilis, which is from anus, which means old woman. Hold up. The Latin word anus means old woman. I mean, obviously, I'm coming this from an American English standpoint, but something seems odd there. I might have to look that up. Next, we have aniline, A-N-I-L-I-N-E. This is a noun from, where's the date? 1849. An oily liquid, poisonous amine, C6H5NH2, obtained especially by the reduction of nitrobenzene and used chiefly in organic synthesis as of dyes, D-Y-E-S. The etymology says this is from the German aniline, which is from anil, which means indigo. It's from French, from Portuguese, from the Arabic al-nil, which means the indigo plant, and that is from the Sanskrit nili, which means indigo, from the feminine of nila, which means dark blue. And I pretty much read that verbatim to you guys. Next, we have aniline dye, two separate words. This is a noun from 1864. A dye made by the use of aniline or one chemically related to such a dye. Broadly, a synthetic organic dye. So this is when we get to some words that are not particularly child safe. So if you are listening with your child, you may want to listen first or skip it or something. But again, as I've mentioned in the past, these are just words in the dictionary. They are in the English language. There's nothing good or bad about them. We're just being very objective here. So the word is analingus, ANILINGUS, or it could also be analinctus, ANILINCTUS. This is a noun from 1949. The definition is erotic stimulation achieved by contact between mouth and anus. If we wanted to make a connection that probably doesn't exist, we could say that an anus is an old woman if we look back at the etymology of anil. But again, I'm just making that up because it's funny to do, I guess. The etymology says this is from New Latin from anus, A-N-U-S, plus I, plus lingus, or linctus, as in cunnilingus or cunnilinctus. I don't know, it doesn't say what lingus or linctus means. I think they have to do with the tongue or the mouth, but it doesn't specifically tell me. But yeah, that's analingus. And now, I don't know how many seconds that was, but now you can let your kids listen again. Next, we have anima, A-N-I-M-A. This is a noun from 1923. An individual's true inner self that in the analytic psychology of C.G. Jung reflects archetypal ideals of conduct, also an inner feminine part of the male personality. Compare to the words animus and persona. C.G. Jung, I know his first name is Carl, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not sure what his middle name is. So if you want to know, you should go look that up. This is from the Latin word, or it is the Latin word that means soul, S-O-U-L. That's interesting. Next, we have animadversion. Yeah, that's all one word. I've never heard this before, to my knowledge. A-N-I-M-A-D-V-E-R-S-I-O-N. This is a noun from 1599. 1. A critical and usually censorious remark, often used with the word on. I think I said censorious correctly. I'm guessing that's a word or a remark that is censored. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Number 2, adverse criticism. Next, we have animadvert. This is a verb from the 15th century. The transitive definition is archaic, and it just has the synonyms notice and observe. The intransitive definition is to make an animadversion. And boy, that's a funky word. This is from the Latin animadvertere, which means to pay attention to, censure, and that is from animum advertere, two separate words, which literally means to turn the mind to. So we do get that word again, censure, C-E-N-S-U-R-E. In the previous one, it said censorious. I'm thinking that this might not be related to being censored, because I think that might be spelled differently. But anyway, I should have said this is going to be the last word for the episode, because it was the last word of the episode. The next one is pretty long. So animadvert, that's our last word, A-N-I-M-A-D-V-E-R-T. And I'm going to pick animadversion for the word of the episode because it's just a long, interesting word. Thank you for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Today is August 16th, and it is my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. I'm recording this many days before your actual birthday, but this episode is being released on your birthday. Happy birthday. I'm sure I will be celebrating with you around that time. And don't worry, I won't tell people how old you are. I'll let you do that yourself. Oh, and actually, you should be on an episode soon. My dad, I may have mentioned in the past, made his living being an actor and doing voiceover work. So being in front of a microphone is very normal to him. So he should definitely do some episodes. And you can look forward to that in the future. I'm sure he'll do that. All right, first word for this episode is animal. A-N-I-M-A-L. I love animals. They're great. This is the first of two forms. It's a noun from the 14th century. 1. Any of a kingdom, animalia, of living things, including many-celled organisms and often many of the single-celled ones, as protozoans, that typically differ from plants in having cells without cellulose walls, in lacking chlorophyll, and the capacity for photosynthesis, in requiring more complex food materials, as proteins, in being organized to a greater degree of complexity, and in having the capacity for spontaneous movement and rapid motor responses to stimulation. That was a very long definition, obviously, but it basically went through all the different things that make up something that you would call an animal. 2a. One of the lower animals as distinguished from human beings. 2b. We have the synonym mammal, and then it says broadly the word vertebrate or vertebrate. 3. A human being considered chiefly as physical or non-rational. Also, this nature. So the nature of being animal, I guess. 4. A person with a particular interest or aptitude, as in a political animal. 5. We have the synonyms matter, M-A-T-T-E-R, and thing, T-H-I-N-G, as in the theater is an entirely different animal. And that is from Arthur Miller. And then to finish off the 5 definition, it says also the 1C definition for the word creature. Animal-like is an adjective, and let's look at the etymology. This is from the Latin animale, which is the neutral of animalis, which means animate. That is from anima, which means soul. We learned that in the previous episode. And there's more at the word animate. Maybe that's part of the reason why I like animals is because I also like animation. All right, now let's get to the second definition or the second form of the word animal. This one is an adjective from 1615. 1. Of relating to, resembling, or derived from animals. 2a. Of or relating to the physical or sentient as contrasted with the intellectual or rational. 2b, we have the synonyms sensual and fleshly. Fleshly, that's a weird one. 3, of or relating to the animal pole of an egg or to the part from which ectoderm normally develops. And for all the definitions, it says a synonym is the word carnal, C-A-R-N-A-L. Animally, with a double L-Y at the end, is an adverb. Next, we have animal control, 2 words. This is a noun from 1957, an office or department responsible for enforcing ordinances relating to the control, impoundment, and disposition of animals. Next, we have animal cracker, 2 words. This is a noun from 1892, a small cookie in the shape of an animal. I'm probably not alone in this, but it was always fun to eat different portions first, like, oh, I ate off their head, or oh, I ate their leg, or whatever. Good thing they don't have feelings, because they're just cookies, and they're made to be eaten. Next, we have animalcule. Boy, I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's the word animal with C-U-L-E added to the end, so it's all one word. And it looks like animalculum is another form. This is a noun from 1662, a minute, usually microscopic organism. So we have the word molecule. similar suffix with the same suffix. And so this is animalcule or animalcule, basically a very small animal, I guess. Next, we have animal heat, two separate words. This is a noun from 1748. Heat produced in the body of a living animal by functional, chemical, and physical activities. Next is animal husbandry, again, two separate words. This is a noun from 1898, a branch of agriculture concerned with the production and care of domestic animals. I've always been curious why they have the word husbandry in situations like this. I just haven't actually taken the time to look up where this word comes from or why they use it in these situations. But yeah, it was just something that I've always been curious about. Next, we have animalier. So it's the word animal plus IER at the end. This is a noun from 1912. A sculptor or painter of animal subjects. Interesting. Haven't heard that one before. Next, we have animalism. This is a noun from 1831. We just have the synonym animality, which is our next word. Animalistic is an adjective. So here we go with animality. This is a noun from 1615. 1. A quality or nature associated with animals. 1a, we have the synonym vitality. 1b, a natural, unrestrained, unreasoned response to physical drives or stimuli. 2. The animal nature of human beings. That reminds me of an animated short from Aardman Animation. They're the ones who made Wallace and Gromit. You might also be familiar with Shaun the Sheep. But anyway, they made a short called Creature Comforts many years ago. It might have even won an Oscar for Best Animated Short. What they did was they went around England, or probably at least London or whatever, and they interviewed people. They interviewed people about zoos and animals and circuses and just kind of animals in general, or sometimes just their own living conditions. And they took that audio and they animated various animals. Interesting, animate. We learned that earlier this episode. So they animated different clay animals to be the different people that they interviewed. Some were in zoos, some were on farms, or in circuses, or just various situations. And the things that they say fit so perfectly to the situations that they were in. I'm probably not doing a very good job describing it, but I highly, highly recommend that you go watch this. If I can find it on YouTube, I'll put a link in the episode description because it's very clever, very well done, very funny, and in most cases, or all cases, the people didn't even know that they were going to be animated like an animal. So it's just a very well done animated short. All right, moving on. Where were we? The animal nature of human beings. Yep. All right. Next is animalize. This is a transitive verb from 1741. 1. To represent in animal form. 2. To cause to be or act like an animal. Animalization is a noun. Next we have animal kingdom. This is a noun from circa 1766. A basic group of natural objects that includes all living and extinct animals, compared to the mineral kingdom and the plant kingdom. Next is animal magnetism, two separate words. This is a noun from 1784. 1. A mysterious force claimed by Mesmer to enable him to hypnotize patients. I don't know who Mesmer is. M-E-S-M-E-R, so maybe I'll have to look him up. 2. A magnetic charm or appeal, especially the synonym sex appeal. Next we have animal model, two words. This is a noun from 1973. An animal sufficiently like humans in its anatomy, physiology, or response to a pathogen to be used in medical research in order to obtain results that can be extrapolated to human medicine. Also, a pathological or physiological condition that occurs in such an animal and is similar to one occurring in humans. Next we have animal pole. This is a noun from 1887. The point on the surface of an egg that is diametrically opposite to the vegetal pole. That's not vegetable, that's vegetal, vegetal, and usually marks the most active part of the protoplasm or the part containing least yolk. Next we have animal rights. This is a noun from 1879. Rights as to fair and humane treatment, regarded as belonging fundamentally to all animals. Animal rightist is a noun. I do have a couple of comments on some of these, but I'm going to save them for the end. Next we have animal spirits. Again, 2 words. This is a noun from 1543. One is sometimes just the singular version, so animal spirit. It is obsolete. The nervous energy that is the source of physical sensation and movement. 2. Vivacity or vivacity, not probably vivacity, arising from physical health and energy. 3. A willingness to take especially economic risks. And we will do one more for this episode. Animal starch. Again, 2 words. This is a noun from circa 1860. We just have the synonym glycogen. There is one more at the very bottom of this column, but it goes on to the next column, so we're going to save that for the next episode. And also I wanted to save it because it is the word animate, and I realized that every single word in this episode had the word animal. And it just so happened that they are the only words that start with animal, so that worked out very well. So the word of the episode I'm going to pick is just the word animal. You probably figured that a while ago. For one, it's the word that's in every single one of these entries for this episode. It's just also that animals are amazing. We all, I think, love animals to some degree. Most people love dogs. I love all animals. I haven't really delved too deeply in this podcast. I have mentioned it before, but I am vegan. My wife is vegan, and we do this for the ethics, for the animal rights, which of course is one of the entries here. We personally don't think it's right to eat or consume any animal products. We totally understand that other people are totally fine with that, and we don't judge them. Also, I think everybody's body chemistry is different, so you might need some level of meat or something in your body, or also people's bodies sometimes don't really deal well with certain fruits or vegetables or things. I totally get it, but again, for us, it's just ethical reasons. But I will say, and I have mentioned in the past, there are major health benefits for you if you eat less meat and dairy and eggs, and also there are major environmental benefits from eating less meat and dairy. I don't want to go any deeper than that right now. I may never go any deeper than that in this podcast, but that is just a big part of my life, a big part of my wife's life. She has been doing it a lot longer than I have, but I've always been an animal lover. My only, I guess, regret would be that I didn't go vegan earlier. But I'm glad that I did. I ended up losing about 40 pounds. My cholesterol went down. I'm much healthier than I was before. And I've also, I guess, in turn, saved a lot of animals in the process. But anyway, enough of that. I think this episode is long enough. I hope that from either an ethical standpoint or a health standpoint or environmental standpoint, you choose to eat less dairy and meat. It's just really amazing how unhealthy they are for our bodies. And actually, just yesterday, I watched a video about how eating healthier and exercising and doing meditation will get you healthier and will lengthen the telomeres, which are the caps at the end of your genes, and how by doing that, you will age more slowly and your body will just be healthier. All right, this is the second time I'm going to say that I won't delve any more deeper, and that is true. So we're going to end this episode right now. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. Apologies if I got a if I got a little too political at the end of the previous episode, I probably rambled on a little too much. I tried not to be too political, just a little bit. A little bit doesn't hurt. But yeah, those are my feelings about that. But this is a new episode. We're not talking about that episode. We're talking about this episode. So the first word in this episode is animate, A-N-I-M-A-T-E. And if we look at the first word of the last episode, which was animal, it comes from the Latin animale, which means animate. So these are definitely related. This is the first form of animate. It's an adjective from the 15th century. 1. Possessing or characterized by life. Synonym is alive. 2. Full of life. Synonym is animated. 3. Of or relating to animal life as opposed to plant life. 4. Referring to a living thing, as in an animate noun. So it's not animate, it's animate. Or actually, animate. Apologies for that. Animately is an adverb, and animateness is a noun. The etymology says this is from Latin animatus, which is from the verb animare, which means to give life to. That is from anima, which means breath or soul. It's akin to the Old English othean, which means to breathe, which is from the Latin animus, which means spirit. We kind of already said that. No, we didn't. Which is from the Greek animos, which means wind, Sanskrit aniti, which means he breathes. So there's a lot of talk in these old words about breath, which if we are putting it into the terms of animate or animate, it's about breathing life into something. So now we have the second form of animate, but it's actually animate here. This is a transitive verb from the 15th century. 1. To give spirit and support to. Synonym is encourage. 2a. To give life to. 2b. To give vigor and zest to. 3. To move to action, as in a criminal animated by greed. 4a. To make or design in such a way as to create apparently spontaneous lifelike movement, as in animate a cartoon. 4b. To produce in the form of an animated cartoon, as in animate a story. Synonym, see the word quicken, Quicken. Next we have animated. This is an adjective from 1534. 1a. Endowed with life or the qualities of life. Synonym is alive. 1b. Full of movement and activity, as in an animated crowd. 1c. Full of vigor and spirit. Synonym is lively, as in an animated discussion. 2. Having the appearance of something alive, as in an unusually animated piece of sculpture. I would love to see a sculpture be literally animated and come to life. That would be cool. We call those animatronics, pretty much. 3. Made in the form of an animated cartoon, as in an animated film. See the word lively, that is a synonym, and animatedly is an adverb. Next we have animated cartoon, 2 words. It's a noun from 1917, a motion picture that is made from a series of drawings, computer graphics, or photographs of inanimate objects as puppets, and that simulates movement by slight progressive changes in each frame. Next we have animation. This is a noun from 1597. 1. The act of animating, the state of being animate or animated. 2. We have the synonym animated cartoon. 3. The preparation of animated cartoons. I love animation. I've always loved animation. I don't think there's too many people out there, especially of my generation, who don't like cartoons in some form. I definitely haven't seen as many animated shows or things as I would like to. I talk to a lot of people who have seen many, many, many animated shows. and I've missed most of them just because I don't really have the time. Animation in general plays a pretty big part in my life, but maybe not as big as some people. I was just listening to a podcast, and they were talking about My Little Pony. That existed when I was a kid, but it seems like this newer generation of My Little Pony is different and new, and I hate to say this term, but is maybe a little less girly. I know a lot of males who like the show, so it seems like they've sort of broadened their horizons on who their audience is, which is great. So that might actually be a show that I would be interested in checking out if I can fit it into all the other shows and movies I'm trying to watch. But animation is great. I've always loved stop motion animation. That was actually my first major in college. I only had a couple stop motion classes. That's a whole other story. But stop motion animation particularly just gets me going, and I love it. And I've actually been dabbling with rotoscope animation in my older years because I'm not a great artist. I'm okay, but I'm not great, and it allows me to sort of fake it and trace stuff, which I like. All right, moving on to animato, animato. This is an adverb or an adjective from circa 1724 with animation, used as a direction in music. Interesting. This is Italian from the Latin animatus. Next we have animator. This is a noun from 1611. I'm going to guess it says one who animates. Let's see. One that animates. Yep, that's what it is, as in prime animator of the movement. 2, an artist who creates drawings for an animated cartoon. Next we have animatronic. This is an adjective from 1978. Of, relating to or being a puppet or similar figure that is animated by means of electromechanical devices. Animatronically is an adverb, and this is short for audio animatronic. I had no idea. I guess technically they can make sound, but that's never really something that I think about when I think about animatronics. I wonder if audio animatronic is actually in the dictionary. If it's not, I might have to look that up. But yeah, that's animatronics. Ooh, I just watched a video yesterday. It's a company in Australia. They're the ones who made that show, Walking with Dinosaurs. They basically now make a living at making life-size animatronics, usually dinosaurs or other creatures, that can be moved and stuff in real life for real-life shows, not just movies. So the technology is just insane, and they look incredibly lifelike. It's really amazing stuff that they're doing. All right, next we have animatronics. It's the plural of what we just read. It's a noun from 1971, technology dealing with animatronic animation. Next is anime, A-N-I-M-E. This is a noun from 1988, a style of animation originating in Japan that is characterized by stark, colorful graphics depicting vibrant characters in action-filled plots, often with fantastic or futuristic themes. I've seen a little anime in my life. I would like to see a lot more. The little bit that I've seen, I feel like it went a little over my head, or maybe I just didn't quite understand it. It's very specific. It's maybe a little bit of an acquired taste, but I know there's a lot of great shows and movies in the anime style, and I need to watch them. As we said, this is Japanese animation, and it's short for the word animation, spelled A-N-I-M-E-S-H-I-Y-O-N. All right, we will do one more for this episode. Animism, A-N-I-M-I-S-M. This is a noun from 1832. 1. A doctrine that the vital principle of organic development is immaterial spirit. 2. Attribution of conscious life to objects in and phenomena of nature or to inanimate objects. 3. Belief in the existence of spirits separable from bodies. Animist is a noun, and animistic is an adjective. So I think in general what these definitions are saying is that it's the idea that there is a spirit, there is a soul. Not everybody believes that. A lot of people do believe it. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm taking from this. This is from the German animismus, which is from the Latin anima, which means soul, which we have read before. So yeah, they're literally taking that word anima, which means soul, and using it to create some sort of doctrine. I think there's something there. I think that there's some sort of spirit or soul. I think that all animals have it. I don't know if ours are any different than theirs, but I think about this often. I think about the idea of what gives us life. We are these bodies that mostly kind of just go and do the things that they need to do, and we all have instincts to eat and sleep. But there's something that gives us life. There's something that we have that I think plants don't have. I think they have maybe some level of life, obviously, because they eat and sleep, and they can move as well. But there's something different going on in our brains and our bodies and whatever it is. I don't know what it is. There's something that's making all of this start and work. And I'm super fascinated at what that might be. Is it a spirit? Is it a soul? Is it something else? I have no idea, but it's a very fascinating idea to me. Anyway, that is the end of the episode. The word of the episode is, it's either animation or animate, or animated. You know, all of those kind of are of the same being. I guess animate would be another one. Breathing, soul. These are all related and interesting to me, and I like that. Puppets are another thing where when you quote unquote animate a puppet, not a stop motion puppet, but like a Sesame Street puppet, it's amazing to see people who are really good at it and bring these things to life. It's a fascinating art, and I've always loved it. I've dabbled in it a little bit. I have some puppets, but I don't ever really use them. I wouldn't really consider myself a puppeteer, but it is something that I do want to get more into as I get older and older. All right, that is the end of the episode. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.